It's Monday. Good afternoon, everybody. Corbin says good afternoon as well. Anything else you want to tell him? Yeah, he hopes you're having a good day. Okay, let's switch to the old Kambarooski. Hey, look at us. What are you doing? Can you see him? Corbin and I are sitting in the studio hanging out, ready to get some work done. And how was your weekend? Did you have a good one? Yeah, he said it's all right. That's good. That's nice to hear. What did we do this weekend? I think his moving around is in order to signal that we moved the house around. No? Okay. Well, basically, I've got the new video in the works right now because we've changed up the studio, things like that, and then I've got a bunch of things that we're editing at this point. So we're going to be doing a bunch more shorts, which is a lot of more shorts is a lot more fun. I posted today's page. It's not the page suggestion that I pulled on Friday. Why not, Chris? Boy, am I glad you asked. Because the page suggestion on Friday was Christopher as a hula dancer. But the problem with that is Christopher lost the suggestion until he had finished cleaning the studio this morning. So I didn't get it done. It was just a busy weekend. We switched it up. Our youngest had moved out, so we moved my wife's office into his old room, and we took our room that the grandkids sleep in upstairs, and we converted that into a nice guest room. So it meant I painted emptied that whole room, painted that whole room, shampoo vacuumed all the floors and everything else, put all the other furniture in, and then moved her office into his old room after, of course, I painted it and then did all the floors. And and then the old office that Laurie has, which is directly above my studio, which used to be our room when the early days of the whole big old family in the house here, and painted it, and then did all the floors and shampoo vacuum and all that, and then moved our room from downstairs upstairs, and then on top of that, we put our TV and out of the lounge area in my studio, and back into our living room. So we're really utilizing the main floor of our house again, which is a really good feeling, isn't it, buddy? Isn't it, Corbin? Corbin is easily accustomed to the change, so which is really nice. But the studio has expanded a little bit now, so to utilize more of the space. So I'll be that's cute, but I'll be doing a new studio tour and video. So yeah, a lot of good things. And grandkids' room is downstairs now, where our room used to be, so it's a lot bigger, and it's got a big play area in it, which means I was able to take all the grandkids' toys out of Laurie's yoga studio, so now she's got a fully dedicated yoga studio. We're out of control. We're out of control at this point. But it's nice. It's nice to be at that place where, as we're adjusting into this new phase of our lives, where all of our kids are grown up and all of that stuff, and we're empty nesters, that everything is coming together. Okay, so we're going to get cracking on our page today and figure out what we're working on. I got asked last week about inking, so that's something we could talk about today as well. I'm missing stuff here. Oh, hi, Miriam. How you doing? I'm sorry, I'm blabbing away here and talking to Corbin, and I forgot to say hi, and I'm sorry for that. Okay, so have you got anything you want to add, Corbin? Anything to add? No, he's good. He's just going to flop around on my desk. So exciting times in the old studio. Well, anyways, watch for those videos. This week, there'll be the new studio tour, and we got some more time-lapse stuff coming. Okay, one of the things I talked about last week very briefly, and we're going to do today's page. Now, I picked up some new pens, some new, colored markers, and I'm going to try to use those. Corbin has a priority. It's okay. Well, if you go back to the start of today's live stream, he's pretty chatty. I'm talking about you, fatty. All right. So, but that's very sweet. Okay, so I've got some new. I'll show you. I'll switch the cameras up. Before I do that, let's talk about today's page. It isn't the one that the suggestion I got on Friday because I lost the suggestion, could not find it, and forgot what it was. So because it's a busy weekend, I just didn't find it until I cleaned the studio up this morning. So we'll get that one done and put out. But this is one of the Patreon exclusive pages that I was going to release this weekend, so I just used it for today's page, and so on and so on and so on. But we'll pull a new suggestion for today, and get on with that. I just want to talk about one quick thing before I tell you about the page. Well, no, you know what? Let's just do the page first, and then I'll tell you about the quick thing. So today's page is Bing Bang Boom. I know there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and I'm not making light of that or in any way diminishing the impact that's having on everybody's lives. But this is a fun sci-fi story that I wanted to play around with, and the suggestion was like explosions above a city or something like that, which is really dark, especially in a time where there's lots of cities having explosions above them, and that's not great. So I wanted to tell a sci-fi story of a superhero and a supervillain punching each other, and big boom, and try to play with some effects there. So please don't anybody take that to any other situations. Okay, now, and then the page I got to do that I'll be posting is to Patreon is Christopher as a hula dancer, I think was the suggestion. So I'm going to switch cameras to the old overhead, and these are the markers that I picked up. They're water-based. They've got a chisel tip head and they've got a point head, and they're not bad. They're pretty nice. I've been scribbly dibbling in the old sketchbook with them this weekend. I got 4 doubles, so I use those for sketching. So the 4 doubles that are on the top there are my sketching ones, and then hold it up on the side. There's just 2 little packages, and you get this range of value, and boy, oh boy, they're really good and they're really inexpensive. So, they look like alcohol markers, says Miriam. They sure do, but they're not. They're not. They're water-based, but the handling of them. Hold on, I'll pull. Let me see. I think I did some stuff in the sketchbook. Sorry, Cody. Yeah, some quick doodling with them, and pardon me, I'm scratching notes. Okay, I was doing some quick doodling with them, and playing with some marks that you can make, and I kind of like some of the texture, but that's clearly like a water based over top of each other. Yes, sir. What do you need? I'll just say that. Okay. All right. But the fact that you can go over top of each of these values with additional values is really kind of nice. And then you can get little textures out of them, all kinds of stuff. What's your favorite color? He doesn't know. But it's pretty good. I've been having some fun with these. And these are the scribbles that I did, which are the last 4 days of Inktober. I posted 3 today because, again, crazy busy weekend painting the house. So, I just posted all 3 at once. And then tomorrow's the last day of October. So that's the last day of this run of Inktober. But I don't know. I've been doing a personal project out of Inktober. I keep posting it as Supertober, which is just, silly. But the personal project that I'm doing with Inktober is I grew up loving a certain children's superhero comic book called Legion of Superheroes. Started in 1958. And so all the characters are Lightning Lad and Cosmic Boy and Saturn Girl. Just silly, right? But I still hold it near and dear in my heart, just because it was so fun and it was such, optimism. And so all of these characters that I've been drawing with their, different little weird abilities they have is one of each of the characters going back to 1958. And, just silly fun. just silly fun. So Miriam says we need to do something in November. I think so too. I think that let's have some fun and explore, because there's so much out, like so many different projects that we can possibly try. I'm debating on whether or not to continue doing just a character a day, and to do, because there's so many people that have been in this silly book that I've been reading for years. There's a part of me that's like, just do one of everybody, which is just silly. But we'll see. Okay, so I thought today we could do some doodling with these markers, and work on a page today that way, and see what experimentation and what fun that we can have with these, because it's brand new and I haven't played with them yet. And this week I'm going to do a pencil crayon page as well. And you know, I don't have a lot I never plan a lot of things in advance here, because honestly I know what I'm doing each morning, and you know, I want to leave that separate. I want to leave that separate from, you know, the way that I'm doing, you know, our afternoon projects, these one-page stories. And so oftentimes, because I'm just straight pencil, straight ink, like straight inking, you know, I've been debating it. So Miriam says November using only pencils. No, Novin pencil. That sounds like a fun project. Yeah, why not? Go for it. There's all kinds of different fun things we can do. I like Novin pencil. I'll show you. I'll walk you through the Inktober thing. Now I've got one more to do. Okay, so here are. Give me a sec. So here are some of the panels that I've done, and so, you know, all these different little images and panels and stuff that I've drawn is all just good and silly fun. Trying to incorporate some of the eccentricity of the book I'm referring to from my childhood with the suggestions for the month, and so this is the first round of those. Yes, sir. Just one moment. And then that's the last one to do for tomorrow morning. And then the flip side of that is this. So I just did them across from each other in the book. So here's more experimental fun. And I like this because it pushed the boundaries of, you know, is it necessary for me to define these characters since they're not what's important? Can I not just focus on this guy and leave these guys in an abstraction, just so that you don't focus on them as opposed to what he's doing? You know, so that it made me think along those lines. And, you know, the environments and the silly sci-fi backgrounds here and there that are in there, like this one's castle. I'm forced into having a castle in it, but the sci-fi cities that I'm putting in the background of everything is just fun to sort of encase them all in some sort of similar scenario. Or here's a guy, this little dude makes this big giant thing rise right out of the ground in front of him. To give it scale, I'm playing with the size of people. You know, it's just the stars. Here's a miniature person, you know, sneaking away some file. Like, it's just to just try different things, like how to draw a clear shield in the environment that protects this guy from harm, or whatever silly, an invisible person, a giant person, people running away, a lady walking through the objects in the floor. Like, it's just all of these different things are sort of challenging you to think outside of a box, where how do you illustrate somebody who has some sort of telepathy or knows how to find the right path? And, you know, or how do you, you know, how do you draw a guy with lightning? You know, like just silly things. So it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed I really enjoyed doing that this month, and I really enjoyed sitting down with a uniform material and a uniform medium to have to do every one of those illustrations with, and to have to stay lockstep into just doing the same, utilizing the same tools every day. This is them. These are they. Those are that's. So the two different black pens. This is a Fudenosuke marker, which I've talked about last week, and 2 brushes, one of my saucy pencils, and a toothbrush for some of the spatter effects and the like. There's a little bit of black ink left. Now, when I started Inktober, that ink had run the entire outside edge because I put too much on the palette. But I have now only got this much left. Like, I've literally used all of this ink up. So that's kind of cool. Anyhow, that's the tools that I've been doing that project with. Whether or not I post the next lot of the ones, I don't know. I don't know if that necessarily matters. So, because we engaged in the project at hand, and the project at hand was to try November, Inktober, that's what it's called. To try that out, to have some fun, to explore and experiment a little bit. So, I don't know what's going on here. All right. So, Corbin's chillaxing. It's just chillaxing in the studio so we can get some stuff done. Miriam says, in my case, it was difficult to find inks in my stash, but you succeeded to combine the painter style with that. Yeah, that's a challenging approach that you took on. I like drawing in colored ink, but right off the hop, I limited myself to only using black and white. And because of that limitation made me to explore, experiment, and find new things, and just to get a little crazy with it. Well, that's my little logo up here. Everything's, experimental, and just go crazy. Just have some fun, and you'll find different avenues of exploration that you might not have had before. And Miriam says that's difficult. It is, but that's part of growth. I think that part of what helps us to grow creatively is that specifically is to challenge ourselves beyond our preconceived way that we do things, and to try these very clearly different avenues than we normally take. So I like it. I like stuff like that. I think I'm gonna do a little bit more of that. I like the idea of Novin Bensel. I think we've got to figure out a new name for that. But that sounds like fun too. There's just so many things to try. And I got ideas. I got lots and lots of ideas. So, all right. Well, on today's musical choice is Depeche Mode. So we're gonna have a little bit of fun. Before I go into the page, Empire of Illusion. I'm reading this again by Chris Hedges. If you haven't had a chance to read this book, it's fantastic. It's called The End of Literacy and the Triumph of Spectacle. It talks about the contrivance of our media, and how we are no longer being generally taught the same level of morals and ethics societally, and self-discernment societally, or to treasure idea. What I mean by that is, when you read a book, just a textual book, and you have to then translate the material that's in said book into ideas, and you absorb some of those or you reject some of those from your own ideology. And it's important. Print and books, physical books, are important. And the more that we keep these things going, the more that we're not just indoctrinated to the state and having to believe whatever we see as given on the media, because we're no longer able to have, to be more greatly informed by ideas written down in text. we live in an age where we're far too susceptible to misinformation. So it's an interesting book. I highly recommend people check out Chris Hedges. I really enjoy it. He was in the. I think he was. I'm trying to think of how to describe Mr. Hedges, because I think that he's a senior fellow at the National Institute. He was a foreign correspondent in the Middle East, author of a number of books, columnist. Currently writes for it, but he was a theology graduate, if I'm not mistaken. And so, of course, his dedication's in Latin. Not a dumb guy, but I honestly, I really appreciate it. But there's a quote I want to say before we get into it. People who shut their eyes to reality simply invite their own destruction. Anyone who insists on remaining in a state of innocence long after that innocence is dead turns himself into a monster. James Baldwin. That's a cool quote. Anyhow, let's get cracking. Miriam thinks she grows a lot revisiting painters and trying to work in their styles. Oh, my goodness, yes. Did you have in your list Modigliani, Miriam? I'm trying to remember whether you did or not. Because if there's a single painter that, lends themselves to a weighted line, it would be Modigliani, right? So just the contrivance of having to work in just ink. Modigliani would be a fantastic example. And let me pull something up on Modigliani. How's that? Modigliani. Okay, so Amedeo Modigliani. So his portraits. Okay, now there's the long neck that he draws people with, but there's this sense of weight that he has in his work that it's all about form. It's not about line. It's all about form and how the depth of lines and how the softness of edges can define so much. Here's a great example. It just look at that. Look at that simplicity of those simple lines to define that prominent nose. So yeah, Miriam says that she did. Oh, for me it was the best of all. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that because big fan, and I really like what you've done with your Painttober. So that's fun. Kid throws a house party. We've done that. Subtle and incremental deception. Okay. Subtle and incremental deception. That's I'll write it down for our. I've got 3 Joshes that make suggestions. Miriam says you sent the Modigliani by messenger. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. Exciting, very exciting. Thank you. Okay, today's page that we're going to be working on is subtle and incremental deception. And this is suggested by Josh B. I've got 3 different Joshes that are giving suggestions. And one of my son's names is Josh. We were clothes shopping with Josh this weekend too, so that's exciting. Hi everyone, I'm about to enter my class. See you around. See you around. Chris, have a great day in your class. For those that aren't aware, Chris will be joining me here in the stream on November 20th. Very exciting. Very exciting. Okay, so the Fudenosuke pen. I was pointing this out about the soft line, the really nice thin line that you can make, or by putting pressure down, the much thicker line that you can make. But what is really exciting is the tapered line where you can thin to thick, back to thin again, start with the thick and go to thin, start with thin, go to thick. If you're able to afford yourself the chance to, so if we draw a circle, lousy looking circle. There we go. And that's one thing. But another way that, there's your circle. But if we draw said same circle and allow that weight from the pen, it changes the form and the volume of it entirely. So try to find pens like these and play with those things. Now, I tend to prefer this type of pen, but there are other Tombow brush pens that they also make. That's the company that produces these. And there are additional brush pens that different providers put out as well. See if you can find one and play a little. There's a number of different kinds that they sell in like dollar stores or the like, and all kinds of different versions, all kinds of different companies, all kinds of different products. So today's page is subtle incremental deception. I gotta write it down right here before I forget. Subtle and incremental deception. That is Josh B. Okay, and that's a fun suggestion. It sounds terrible. It really does, but that's a fun suggestion. So, okay, so I said I was going to draw with these. So that's what I'm stuck with using. See, I really like pens that you can do this with, and you can't do that with these, and I don't like that. Anyhow. Okay, yeah, let's get cracking. If there's ever, Chris is off. If there's any questions that anybody has, please, by all means, feel free to ask or to, I don't know, whatever. But you got any suggestions? Anybody wants to talk about work that they're doing? Or, I don't know, maybe we should start a new section called Questions for Corbin. He's already sleeping. What a guy. All right. Oh, Miriam was in the hairdresser. Nice. Nice. Did you get like a whole new style, like where your hair just sticks straight up? Or did you get like a massive afro perm? Or did you get it all cut short with crazy bangs like the 1980s? That's sad. Clearly, I'm not good with the judging haircuts. I got a haircut last week too. I don't think anybody noticed because it's still just the same assorted mess. So, okay, so subtle incremental deceptions, today's thing. Why don't we draw a guy lying to us? Let's start there. And we'll see where that takes us. So I'm just putting in drawing our main guy using the wife subtle deception. Oh, I was in the hairdresser. Oh, that's fun. That's a fun story idea. Okay, well, yeah, okay. Well, let's wife and hairdresser. I'll put that down. Yeah, I'll put that down. Now we can put that into a story beat. That's fun. I noticed your haircut. I didn't do anything to my hair. See, I was going to go with just like a frizzy perm sticking straight out. My hair doesn't work with that. I unfortunately have like really fine hair that, doesn't let you style it. Fine curly hair, it does its own thing. You can try to style it until the cows come home, but they're going to arrive to the same kind of haircut they left with. So it's just different lengths. That's what I got. When Lori and I met, my hair went like right down about there, I think, and yeah, it was a look. Yeah. It was a look. It was a style. It was a choice. Let me try this guy. See what we're gonna get out of him. Just try to play with some shapes in the face here. haven't tried this before. This is kind of fun, using both sides of a pen like that. You know, or a marker, I guess it's a marker. Because you've got the two tips, why not utilize both tips, right? Here's a tip. So I haven't been able to watch anything all weekend long. So anybody that streamed this weekend, I'm sorry if I missed you. And you know, I did get a chance to watch one thing so far, and that was Miriam, who's in the chat today, and Paul on Paul Pate's thing, and that was really cool to see the two of us doing that. So yeah, it was a good chat too. So I'm putting down this. One of the ways that I will draw a lot of times is that I'll fill in all the different values. I'll do the light grays, I'll do the blacks, I'll just chase down the whole of the composition in a single value. And it doesn't mean that it's, like I said, gray and black. It's just I'm locking myself down really to one tone. And what that lets me do, what that sort of affords me, is the chance to, you know, to try to see all the lights and darks and everything as volume and form. And then I'll come in with, if it's, maybe I'm inking over top a bit, or maybe I'm adding colors to it. But oftentimes you'll see me using like a light green or a light orange or something like that, and putting together what it is that I'm working on in the single value, and then just completely flush it out with other colors. And I find that by doing that, it's no different than when you're to take a piece of board or canvas or something and to work out the entirety of your composition and to get down your subtle blends between your lights and your darks and all of that, all of those actions, not just the composition itself, but then the tonality of it. And then you do staining or washing over top of that in colors. That's a process that's been used for innumerable years by numerous different painters, and it works. So drawing in one value, it sort of leaves a root color to whatever your composition might be, but at the same time, you're not trapped in it, right? But here, let's get into this for a sec. How are you going? There you go. So if I'm to come in now with this guy and engage some marks through the light blue that I've got here, I can play with some little value shifts in the illustration without jumping directly into like a hard black or something like that. And it's just adding another value on top of the main that we've illustrated it with. But I'm not just jumping right into the black or something like that. I'm just playing. So, but when we get into this part of it, I'm using both sides of these fun little markers, by the way. I'm missing stuff too. Hey, I'm waiting at the doctor's office. Oh, wow. Well, this is a fun way to wait at the doctor's office. Thanks for joining us, Riri. Riri, if you got stuff you're working on, let us know. Feel free to add that in the chat. So this is the secondary value that I'm putting down now. And so I'll do this too, where I'll shift what the underlying color is. And in this case, I've clearly shifted to the blue. It doesn't mean I'm staying here. I'm just exploring and putting down a bunch of marks and seeing where things take it. But it's just this is just fun. It's a fun way to try different things out and see where it takes your whatever it is that you're drawing. So Riri Oh, Miriam is buffering like crazy. I'm sorry, going through that, Miriam. I checked our signal here, and we're kicking, so I'm not sure. I'm sorry if it's local challenges, unless other people are having the same problem. And if so, I'll try to figure something out. So I'm using both ends of this the chisel tip and the pointed tip. So I haven't quite played with the idea of them being a water-based marker. I think that because of that, I can put some of this down on plastic and go at it with a brush with water on it, and then smear it around. I think that'll be a fun way to apply marks on here too. But I have yet to try that out. It will definitely be something that I will. So okay, so here's our narrative voice. We got him coming in. I like this pose in mind here. Hey, so anyways, he's got his leg up, arm resting on the leg. That's fun. Although nobody enjoys that when somebody walks up and, hey, puts their leg up on the desk or whatever, some chair or stool. That's not a good way to talk to people. It's very self-assured. Jump back into that orange for the hand. Oh, here's back us. Welcome back, Maria. Right? Just play with this. So I'm looking forward to a few different things right now. In addition to these videos that we're working on getting done, I have a backlog of pages that are done. I'm going to sit down and post them to Patreon. I keep meaning to do this, and really appreciate all our Patreon supporters. So thank you for your patience. You're still getting all the regular ones that everybody else sees, but the thing about Patreon is that you get to see weekend ones that nobody else does. And I haven't done it for the last 2 weekends because of business. So we'll get those in. We'll get those posted. So okay, so I think I'm gonna. Oh, look at that nice thick mound there. Woo-hoo. So I'm just playing with some outside lines. Using this color to draw together the whole of it. So the other of the 4 drawing values that I have is a black. I just don't want to put any black in this. I'm having fun with color. All right. Oh, Miriam's having dinner. Nice. So if anybody has an opportunity, please go check out the streams, and anybody that's listening in the chat here, and anybody that's just, what are they called? It's called lurking when you're not chatting in a stream, but you're just hanging out. I'm completely fine with that. That's cool. Still, take a look at what other people are doing, and don't be afraid to tell anybody else what you're doing. Setting minds like yours want to know. Yeah, this it's pretty. It wrecks the surface of the paper really quick. Strips the tooth right out of it. So I'll have to figure out how to use this a little more effectively. Maybe do a layer and then come back and do another, and so on and so forth. But that, maybe we'll try dabbing it down as I move along. But we'll figure that out. We will figure that out. I believe in us. Okay, so here's our principle, and he's telling us about the subtle and incremental deception. Now, Miriam had a suggestion. His wife said she was going to the hairdressers. Da, 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 da. Well, that's fine. I like that. We'll play with that. Let's see. Do I want to introduce another color? Why not? Go for it, Chris. All the kids are doing it. This is not even. There we go. Let's let it press down on there a little bit. All right. That's a nice orange. It's got a really good value to it. Okay, so here's our initial image. Okay, now subtle and incremental deception. As our guy's telling us about that, let's pull in a little closer on his face, just because as he's regaling us with whatever it was, the subtle and incremental deception was that he's experienced. Maybe we want to capture a little bit more of that. What I should really have here is a little piece of paper to the side, so I can play with the colors on it, see what that gives me. But let's get a little more softer color in here. Add that in and give a little bit more character to his face. I was initially just going to stick with the 4 ones that I defined that because they're doubles. I was going to use those as drawing markers, but no, that's good. Let's play with the marker sets. So I'm getting ready for the 12th of November when I'm going to do this talk in downtown London. We're going to go put some posters out at some point, I think, and there's already been promotion for it and online. And, it looks like a lot of fun. It's just a little. I was hoping it looks like a little bit green, but that's just teasing. I don't think I really want it green. Let's make one. Hey, Dan, welcome aboard. Hope you're having a good day. Feel free to let us know, Dan, if you got anything you're working on or you got a suggestion or some sort of fantastic existential dilemma that we can all help with. Just go for it, man. You're welcome. A nice blue shirt is good, but I tend to like to find other colors. Let's see what it gives us. Color is it? Fruit pink. Fruit pink. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Oh, let's see this. It says flush, flush. Exciting. I could have called this one grapefruit. Missed opportunity. Okay, so let's tighten up on this guy's face, and I'm going to use the flesh to do it. So, Dan got back from being strapped to the gurney and given a 19 shot. Is that a coronavirus, whatever thing? Is that for? I don't know. I can't keep track of what the expressions are used for all of the things. You know what I mean. Trying to get up. I've learned that I can do more things on the robot here if I get a certain number of views, and so we're looking at this weekend, and if I can hit that number, which looks impossible, I think it might be fun to try all these crazy things. I'm looking forward to stuff like that. I'm new to YouTube, so it's a big old learning curve for me, and I'm sure for everybody else that probably been doing it for a while, you get it. You went through it too, but it's not a difficult learning curve. It's just a learning curve. So I'm gonna play, see what we can find out. So I'm just zooming in on his face. Oh, I worked on a Rolls Royce and a Great Gatsby coloring book. Oh, that sounds like fun. Oh yeah, it's a C19. Nice. Great Gatsby coloring book. Is this related to the motion picture that came out, the film there, or is it just from the novel? Which is kind of cool because then you got this sort of unique and individual interpretation of it as opposed to just trying to, somebody had to imagine all the film sets and everything else like that. But, just it's fun to see the different interpretations that people have. Yeah, I figured out this one. Thanks. I'm official. Registered as livestock with the Department of Agriculture with these shots. Oh my gosh. I'm laughing because he said he's. Anyway, I'm explaining it to a cat. What am I doing? So here's a funny story. Oh, do tell us, please. Okay, I will. As we're moving things around and setting things up and so on and so forth with the big, changes we made at the house here this weekend, I, for whatever reason, explained to the cats that as we're setting up the two beds in the grandkids' room, I explained to the cats that this is their room now. This is your room. You got this bed. I said to the baby, and Corbin gets the other one. And then half an hour later, I go in this room to set something down, and if those two cats aren't on each of the beds that I said belong to them, yeah, I'm telling you, I couldn't stop laughing. I mean, that's ridiculous. I can't believe you actually, sat down to the bed like that. Dangerous. I gotta be careful what I say. I'm give them ideas. Dan says it's from the novel. This is in response to the the Great Gatsby coloring book he's working in. Dan says, it's 2 overlapping pages with the mansion front, the main door, and Roman columns. Ooh, fancy. I like it. I like that. I'm a big proponent of reading. When you read a book and you try to interpret what the world of Dune looks like, and it still suits, and all the other things from the novels, and then you see like David Lynch's version, and then you see Denis Villeneuve's version that he's just done. It's exciting to me that when you see the similarities, but it's also exciting to me to see the differences. So. All right, so let's a good start. And Dan asks, how did it go with your guest here today? Oh, you can see it. It's up on we posted the stream on Friday. It was a lot of fun. Tristan, for those that missed it, is the person that's worked with Lori and I the most on any project. Tristan's a graphic designer who designed all of the logos for majority, everything but one. She did the logos for all of the RP books that have been ever published. And she's a very talented graphic designer, graphic artist, and she's working on her first book. So that's exciting. And just I want to have her in and chat and hang out. But I learned a great deal from her about publishing and how to put the games together and digital art and Photoshop, etc. She's very informed, and that's fantastic when people that you're informed about something and you want to pass that information on. That's always nice. So, thanks for asking. Take a look and see what you think. So I'm gonna try to get some structure to these eyes, but I can bring it into detail a little more than I did before, because it's actually I'm going to come back and cut a little shape out of this one, but I can get a little bit more detail and information out this way by bringing it in. And so hopefully what that's going to do is to give a better insight of emotion for the reader to sort of pick up on as he's expressing the scenario that happened and how that made them feel. I also get to emote a little bit better by pulling the camera in. Yes, sir. Yeah. It's just telling me it's back. Where's your toy? Where's your toy? Drinking out of my super-sized cup. Thanks for asking. If anybody's got any special streams coming up or videos on their channels, or if anybody wants to talk about, anything that they've, I don't know that I'm interested in any films out there right now, but what's your favorite music? That's a fun one too. And you say, oh, it's this. And I say, wrong. I had a friend growing up that would do that. It used to make me laugh so much because he didn't mean it, right? But, what'd you get up to this weekend? Oh, we did this. No, you didn't. What? You just think you did. Like, what are you talking about? He's just a character. Miriam says this guy has hepatitis. Well, it really picks up on the yellow, but it's actually quite fleshy color. There you go. Sit down. Sit down. Okay. Up. Go. So I've got the second image, the second value that I'm putting in now. This is orange, and it's letting me carve out some more shapes. So that's kind of fun. Just playing. It's all about playing. It's all about just being experimental and just pursuing the marks that you can make, right? And I'm thinking of this more and more about how some of the ways that I draw now, I don't think I ever would have drawn if it wasn't for your help, Corbin. And if it wasn't for just letting go and of the preconceived, here's the way to work, or here's what you're trying to objectively do, and just experimenting. So, what's the matter with Gregorian chants? They rock. So, I usually ask this when I'm drawing a face from someone, depending on who's in the chat. Do you make the faces of characters as you're drawing them? It's a funny thing that I think we all do, is that as you're drawing somebody grimacing, you might go, as you're drawing it, people don't realize you're doing it. If you're smiling, you're like, hey, smiling along with them. It's a weird thing we do, but it's kind of like a sympathetic magic, right? Where it's sort of on a subconscious level better informing you the marks you're putting down. So you've got this hairline that comes through here. Just using this as a means to decide, here is the extent of the panel, right? And to allow myself space here and here for dialogue. Maybe a tiny little bit more than that in here. But we're going to go over this again, so we're not just relying on the orange as the color of the hair. So, but we're just shapes and nice little shapes and moving lines and fun things, and trying to define this brow a little more, and without it being too overt, you know what I mean? Like the orange moving into the fleshy color of the face sort of allows us to start to find these shapes and these forms. And then in a moment, we'll come in with a darker value, start pulling those out a little more clearly. Listening to a lot of really loud music this weekend. I find it helps to motivate you when you're trying to get physical things done. And so now the flip side of it is that I tend to be listening to a lot quieter stuff. Now, we regularly play classical music in our house, upstairs on the main floor for sure. At all times, we have classical music playing at home. And there's a great station that we like to listen to out of Los Angeles? I don't know, someplace out of California. But it's KUSC, and it just plays classical music all day. So, it tends to help stimulate the mind as you're going throughout your day. But when you're doing painting and moving furniture and things like that, I find loud music's the way. Work out these lids. Okay, what's Miriam saying? I'm going to call you the magician because figures appear magically in the paper. Oh, thanks, Miriam. So, following what we set up in that previous. Oh, I've used it all. Well, that's all right. So what? Orange will change. So let's come in with a couple of little hits here. This bloom, I might need to come back to this because it's fairly wet. Let's let it dry just a little bit. And yeah, take it easy on this pen for a second. I'll come back. Okay, so the suggestion for today is subtle and incremental deception. Miriam has said an additional suggestion on that of his wife at the hairdresser. Now, immediately, we could be pretty salacious here and think it's, she's then really going to the hairdressers or something more. And that's fun, to delve into that kind of a story idea. But of course, my brain has gone sideways on this. And I think that I've got a different angle I want to play on it. So, but I'm going to leave that to expose tomorrow when I post the page. So we need an image of his wife. We need to figure out what his wife looks like. So, let's draw her next. And then I'll come back and I'll add the other values in here. But I want to let this panel dry down a little bit because I'm using this water-based marker. If you're working wet and wet and wet, as you're putting this ink down, it can just become really toothy and you start ripping up your page. So we'll let it sit for a second. What told me that was trying to put that blue on that orange and it's got a bleed edge. I'll hold it up so you can see what I'm referring to. So if you look in the eye, there's a crispness in these different colors because it's not too wet on wet on wet. But as soon as I put that light blue in that eye, you can see that bleed out right there. So that's what, we're going to give it a second. Dan says, I think the Surgeon General recommends 45 minutes of AC/DC for exercise. Is that right? Is it just, I just picture Dan, na 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 na, and with headphones on, no one around him knows what he's doing. Na 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 na, pulls a hat down over his eyes, screaming along with the singers of AC/DC and having fun. I mean, why not? Okay, so let's get into doing an image of his wife now. And Miriam says, your mind always goes sideways. Love it. Oh, well, that's nice. Okay, so I'll move that up so you can see it a little more clearly. Okay, so let's do an image of his wife. I'm just going to move this a little bit so you can just get. Okay. All right, now. So we need to make sure that as we're putting her on the page, we need to make sure that we're not tying ourselves in too much. We've got to make sure we've got her hair, long at the start, right? So well, let's get into that. So I'm going to start, just do the nose. I've got the orange again this time. I went with the flesh tone last time, so now I'm trying to face the opposite way for whatever random reason. But you do what you do, right? Am I missing stuff? Nope, we're okay. Just making sure. It's Monday. I wanted to I tried to get out and see some friends streams this morning, and I wanted to try to get out. One of our friends here online does Pictionary on Mondays, and I had too much going on to get a chance to get away and do that. But it's always kind of fun when you get those chances. So. Can anybody imagine if you contextualize hairdressers and subtle and incremental deceptions? Because, well, you know what? I don't want to spoil my weird idea. So maybe I won't ask them. What do you think my brain's going to do with this one? But what I usually say is that as soon as you start drawing that first panel and identify a character or identify a scene or something like that, then it allows you to move through, right? The image and your story starts to come together. He does like Mr. Kravitz from Bewitched. He does look like Mr. Kravitz from Bewitched. Nice. I have to. Is that the old version or a new version? There's just so many of them. So if there's a stream that I did recently where I talk about drawing the face and thinking about shapes, and I'm hoping that people have had a chance to play with that idea a little bit. And there's a question about, when I'm drawing and I'm putting down these marks, why am I not building up the structure of shapes and form and drawing that putting that under drawing down? And I tried to explain as best I could that it's in my head. I'm doing it, but it's in my head. So you'll see my hand move around. What I'm actually doing is drawing the version of the shapes, or drawing the volumes and the shapes. I'm sorry, I read something as I was talking. The old version. I'm old. That says. The old version's the best one. I love the old version. I'm old too. Young at heart, folks. People ask me my age, and I figure, I don't know, I gotta be around 100. I'd retire, but it'll take care of my parents. George Burns. There you go. I can do George Burns jokes for the rest of the stream. The way I figure, if some part of my body's moving, when I get up in the morning, I keep going on with my day. The more I move, the more I figure I'm going to last. See this here? I figure I got 3 weeks. That's George Burns stuff. Jokes for an entire show. Ridiculous. Let's see, thinking about the Burns jokes. Oh, and my favorite is every day I wake up in the morning, um, I make a pot of coffee and I make my breakfast. I sit down, I open up the newspaper, I look at the obituary section. If my name's not in it, I drink my coffee, I eat my breakfast, I get on with my day. If my name is in it, I still drink my coffee and eat my breakfast. I don't go anywhere on an empty stomach. All right, I better stop. My dad told me the cigar was his timing for the joke, the punchlines. Oh, yeah, definitely involved that. Maybe we're young and maybe we are young, but our bodies didn't receive the memo. Well, because I'm expediting the joke, but he'd say, every morning I get up, I make a pot of coffee, and I make my breakfast. I open the obituary. So you're right. The joke is part of the cigar is part of it because he'd pace himself. Otherwise, it's just, rushing through a joke like I just did. So. This doesn't matter so much. It's just volume. The best Muppets guest, in my opinion, still to this day. Best Muppets guest, George Burns. And it's entirely because of one number. I mean, there's other people that are just dialed in. Mary Lou Henner was fantastic. But there's George Burns does Around. He sings with a bunch of Muppets and Ralph playing the piano. And he does a number with all of these guys, and Gonzo's timing is off, and they're doing it in real time. And you made me love you. I didn't want to do it. And then all the Muppets go, I didn't want to do it. And then, of course, Gonzo goes, didn't want to do it. He's just behind. But it's so good. Try to keep up, kid. It's an amazing performance, and if you get an opportunity to look that up online or something like that. I remember coming back in the car, and I guess it was 78, laughing about the avocado pit in the movie Oh God. Those are so great, those films. Oh God and Oh God, You Devil. So good. Who are you supposed to be, God? No, I'm the other guy. Oh, avocado pit's great. Okay, so now throwing in some soft ice. Excuse me, I got a frog in my throat this entire time, if you haven't noticed. Miriam says, I didn't hear well. He opens the obituary to check he's still alive. An obituary in the newspaper, I don't know, is maybe it's different things, different languages, different places, but in North America, when somebody passes away, usually a family member posts a little article about their life and that they've passed and they're missed, their family misses and loves them, etc. And it gives people a sense of time and place and an individual's life and the celebration they're in. So George Burns' joke is that when he sits down in the morning, he makes a pot of coffee, he makes his breakfast, he opens the newspaper to see if there's an obituary about him. If there's not, he eats his breakfast, he drinks his coffee, he gets on with his day. But on the day that he opens that newspaper and there is an obituary about him, he's still going to eat his breakfast and drink his coffee because he doesn't go anywhere on an empty stomach. It's just a great joke. George Burns was in his early 70s when people started saying, George, how old are you? Because he'd been around since vaudeville as a performer. And in the 50s, he and his wife, his partner, Gracie Allen, who was really the writer of their material, she was a brilliant woman, but she played an absolute ding-dong. That was the conceit. But she was really the driving force of that couple of performers. And so he'd always say, George would play the straight man. He'd say goodnight, Gracie. And she'd go, good night, Gracie. To wave at the audience. You know, but she passed away many years before. And so when he came back for the resurgence of his career in the 70s, he was in his 70s himself at the time. And so people were saying, you've been around forever. How old are you? And he'd always say, I don't know. I got to be about 100. George Burns died at the age of 100. And it's almost like completing the bit. You know what I mean? I've always appreciated that. Too much buffering. Sorry, Miriam. But I remember that so clearly about the fact that a man who had always made the joke that he's probably about 100 years old at this point, he doesn't know. And he knew, but it's just playing on a joke of age, right? And using it as empowerment instead of using it as a detriment in an industry that doesn't really care about older actors. And so the fact that he died at that age is just landing the bit or completing a bit or taking the bit to its conclusion. A man who jokes about living to be 100 all the time actually lives to be 100. It's great. And then one obituary said that Gracie said it was time to go. It's one of the, because he missed his wife. He always missed his wife his entire career. He's incredible. Yeah, it's fantastic. Just that, you know, he made it to that age in the first place. But in the larger context, it's just brilliant. All right. Get some of these values in here, and then I'll just go over the pair of them with some other colors in order to bring up more in their faces. So. All right. Say goodnight, George. There you go. Gracie says it's time to go. It's you know, it's I've seen one article about that somebody was writing about old performers and how, you know, the woman was the second fiddle in or the butt of the joke in some of these old performances, and they referred to George Allen and you know, George and Gracie Allen, and in the comments people just went off on this person, and I thought, I'm like, come on, somebody's got to correct that. And then of course a lot of people corrected that in the comments about, you need to do better research because she wrote the jokes, she was the lead, he was the straight man, she was the driving force. It's like, I'm glad that history is remembering that in an age of postmodern deconstruction, where people do, you know, make statements without doing any research to validate or verify those things. So I'm using this blue and putting in some accent points. But you can see how it interacts with the layers of orange that are already down, despite giving it time to dry. So it gets tricky. What time we got? We're at an hour 20 already? What in the world? What? What'd you guys do with the time? Alright, where are we? That's the original one we did. Some marks with a couple more emphasis points in here. Let's come up some brown. What's that? If there's a performer that anybody else remembers that they really enjoyed, whatever age, or somebody they grew up with, or I love Don Knotts and oh, for heaven's sake, Tim Conway. Oh, for the Apple Dumpling Gang. That was amazing, that film. That was thorough, wasn't it? But Tim Conway is just one of the funniest people that ever were. He has a bit about Siamese elephants that just kills anybody that hears it. Not like, but So I'm applying really light lines at this point. Phyllis Diller made you crack up. Excellent. Did you ever see Mad Monster Party? There was the guys that did the Rankin and Bass, who did all of the Rudolph and Frosty and Santa claymation films. They did one Halloween one called Mad Monster Bash, Mad Monster Party. Anyways, in that they have a claymation version of Phyllis Diller, and she's married to the Frankenstein monster. Me and Frankie are having some fun. And it's her doing her voice too. It's she's right in there with it. Like she's part of it. But Phyllis Diller was great. And then of course that one comedian, that one ventriloquist, I can't remember his name, but he had a puppet named Madam. It's clearly an homage to Phyllis Diller. Like it's. Okay, so the one, oh, there it is. I was going to say I had this sort of intermediate value orange, and I'm going to use that in order to pull. Just trying to find an ability to do some extra textures and lines in here, but it had to be between the flesh tones and that orange. And I'm like, how did I do that in the first place? Watched a clip of Phyllis and Liberace play back-to-back pianos. She's no slouch on the 88s. Yeah, a brilliantly talented comedian for sure. But just all round dialed in. I think people, that's the sad reality of history, right? Like Steve Allen, there's another guy, right? Brilliantly talented performer. He's not only the producer of some of Jack Kerouac's audio recordings, but he played the keys on a bunch of them, coordinated getting Al Combs, Zoot Sims involved. Like, it's great. Everybody thinks, oh, the original host of The Tonight Show was Johnny Carson. Nah, not even close. For years, I used the Jack Benny joke. And people would say, you know, ask me my age, and I'd always say, I gotta be about 39. And now I've switched to the George Burns because I can't say I'm 39 every birthday because my oldest is about to turn 32. She doesn't like that. Yeah, I had her when I was 8. I made that joke years ago. She didn't like it. She was the same. She was there all the week, and her hair always looked the same. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Crazy loud wardrobe. It's good stuff. Okay. Well, he's coming together. I'm pretty comfortable with leaving him there. My eldest is 41 too. Hey, there you go. You say, my eldest is 41 as well. So people say, how old are you? And you say, my God. Yeah, that's a good way to do it too. Or stay a year ahead of the kids. Not the same age as them. That'd be weird. Age doesn't matter. Age isn't important. Skip to 100. Why the hell not? The fun thing with markers is the loose application of them. You know, especially if you get really tight drawing style in one regard, and then, you know, you want to draw loosely, you switch to a different medium like marker or something like that, where you can just add in these little hits and shapes, and you're just drawing these lines that, you know, are defining movement and form. A lot of fun today. I've got Chris the Bird playing in my ear right now. I don't know what's going on anymore. I don't even remember putting him on this playlist. If anybody's wondering what song it is, you know what song it is. Okay, so I think we got a heck of a dent in this one. We're just flying on this side. I gave her big hoopy earrings. They're hiding right there. Let that dry a little bit. But in a reversal of, we've got the start of these values in here. We've got a little bit of this blue popping into the face. We'll put a little bit more there. The orange back, different orange than this. But now we're going to put a tiny little bit of that blue in there. Woohoo! And then, of course, we're going to put more into that. So that was 41, 248. We're same age. We now know what we've been doing on 19. There you go. Yeah, that's for sure. I like like having fun with things. I like playing with ideas, ages, whatever. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to show you the form in the face here and pull those lines out just a tiny bit with the blue. There we go. Anyways, let's come together now. Okay, well, so we've used a little limited number of values here. I haven't even touched this. He's just hiding amongst his friends. So there we are. We've got seven different, whoops, I'm sorry. I'm holding them up. I think I'm holding them up to the camera. I'm looking at them myself. So there's the 7 different little values that we've incorporated in the image. Whatever their names are doesn't matter. It's just you can see the difference of the tone. That's all we've got in here so far. And we're pulling out our different colors. If you overlap blue and a brown, it gives you a gray value. And like I always say that a deeper blue and a number or the like gives you a beautiful charcoal when you're mixing it in different mediums. So play with that, but just start with a random assortment, a random smattering of things in your hand. I'll hold this up to the camera, and hopefully, if we can focus for a second. Maybe that's better focusing now. You can see a bunch of the different lines and the different colors and how they're sort of giving a little bit of shape to the face, even though these are rather cheap and inexpensive, right? And not just the cost, but the application of it. You know, it's a great way to try something out. Use a heavier grade cardstock or something like that if you're going to do so, and see what it does. But let it dry a little bit. But no matter what, it's going to tear up the page, the tooth of it. Dan says, have I got any sugar-free Halloween candies floating around the house before tomorrow? I'm a monster. I give out books for Halloween. But I do have sugar-free candies in the house. I even have, I go to a Dutch market here in London. My wife is first-generation Dutch Canadian. And we go to this place and pick up, I've actually found sugar-free black licorices, and I really enjoy those. And so I'll have the occasional one of those. That's what you'll see me pull one of these out. And because I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I'm a brittle diabetic, I can afford the occasional, little bits of licorice, because they still impact your carb ratios. For you non-diabetics, I'm sure that's very boring. But yeah, there's all kinds of really great, fun, sugar-free things that I've got kicking around in different places in the house. But I still try to behave myself and not without the sweets. Although I haven't been to a dentist in years. Years. I'll let you figure out how that's possible. Okay. So, yeah, we got a good start on this. The suggestion for today's from Josh B. is subtle and incremental deception. And if you understand where I'm going with this story, good for you. But, yeah, it's typical goofy Chris. So, Miriam says, no diabetes here, but I'm on a keto diet. Good for you. Here's a real thing that's affecting North America. I don't know about other places, but there is a thing about I take insulin in order to live because I have no regulation of insulin or production of it in my body at all. And but there's a starting to be a problem in North America to find certain kinds of insulin because of a diet craze that's happening in North America, where a great deal of people are spending upwards of $2,000 a month and taking insulin in order to lose weight. The moment they stop doing it, they gain it right back, unfortunately. But it also destroys their livers, their pancreas, their kidneys, their hearts, because of the abuse of this. And so, if that's a weird. I don't know if that's a fun fact, but that's a weird thing that's going on in North America right now. So there's lots of other ways for us to be well, and a keto diet's one that people use, and that's a good one. So it's when my wife has a mouthful of sugar daddies that I give her the Spock eyebrow. Is that healthy, huh? Miriam says, I need to go before my last tooth falls out. Uh-oh. John just helped me drop 15, 20 pounds. Or Jardance, did I read it wrong? Yeah, I know that sweets is something that everybody here likes. I've even found sugar-free ice cream cones at, and again, a Dutch market, but this one's in St. Thomas. Oh, them Dutch, they know how to get the sweets in them without being sweet. So that and Lori does. My wife's a really great baker, and so she'll bake muffins that she'll use sweetener instead of sugar in. And yahoo! I want to eat 60 of them immediately, but I can't. I can only have one because it's still got carbs. So. Miriam says, I've lost 88 pounds so far. Congratulations. That is fantastic. That is not an easy thing for people to do. I have a good friend who has been successfully bringing weight down for the last few years, and I'm immeasurably proud of him. I really am, because it's not an easy thing to do. And he sets his goals and he goes for them. And it's a journey. And it's a challenging journey that we all have. We live in an age where, obesity is commonplace, and there's so much foodstuffs that are available to us that do not help in that. And so anybody that's able to do that and lose weight, and anybody that's able to govern their sugar intakes and things like that. It's funny, you're young, you think you live forever, and you think that you have immeasurable amounts of ability to stave off any challenges to your form. As we get older, we all tend to get thicker, a little bit thicker over the ages because of better accommodation and the ability of wantonness to provide us with the opportunities to have the chocolate we like, the chips that we like, the things that we like, or to eat the rich food or the fatty foods. And it's normal. It's completely normal for everybody. Those that are very athletic-minded and are very and have the right metabolism to burn off everything at whatever age, that's great. But not everybody has it. And so anybody that's able to engage in those practices to take care of themselves, proud of you. At least I am. I don't know, but yeah, do for yourself, right? Dan says, take a bow. Good for you, Miriam. Trying to get over that voice, starving kids in Africa. Well, that's a rough one. But, I think that's self-motivation. I think that governance of self and that the realization that the people around you that that you have that love you and you love them, you spend whatever time you can to get with them. And if that means taking care of yourself, do it. But at the same time, that person in the mirror, love them. Take care of that person too. It's tough. I didn't willingly become diabetic. I didn't. I have a nervous system disorder, and one day I had a seizure and it shut off my pancreas. So I'm type 1 diabetic. But whatever life sends you, we're going to make the most of it. anyways, pursuits like drawing and things like that, that's a great way to take care of some of those anxieties and challenges and compulsions for sweet or whatever it is in our lives. And if you can, if any avenue that you can find to engage yourself and your mind and your body in things that produce result for you, or things that give for you a good sense of fulfillment, pursue those. Right? Yeah. All right, so, and now I'm going to step off my soapbox. I don't know. I think it's important we all encourage each other, and I think it's important that we all celebrate each other and celebrate the challenges. And it's right. Get over that voice that says they're starving kids in Africa. Get over that judgment of others. Get over that expectation, and just think about the ones for yourselves. It's a challenge we all have, and it goes with everything, including self-expression, including self-care, right? And anything that you can do in order to pursue the betterment of any of those situations, right? Mary says, I used to think that food cures all, and it's not. It only creates another problem. Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, that, and sometimes it's easier to just sit down and it's a sense of fulfillment. It sets off endorphins in your body, and when you eat, it gives you a sense of elation, right? There's a biochemical process in your body that gives you a sense of elation. There's other ways to find elation. Self-expression is a really great one, and as long as you're not using that self-expression to cause harm to others, and pursue it to the ends of the earth. As a weird aside, there's an artist that that Canadian artist from the West Coast that was doing all kinds of big grand paintings and oil paints and ceiling tar and random things like that, where he lived in Germany for a while, and the person was a homosexual. The artist was a homosexual. He's a homosexual. I think he's still one. And he would paint skinheads. So, very provocative poses. And so, despite the history and notion of hate involved around a movement, here he is doing it in a very nonchalant way. And it's not just overt, whatever, but it's still great that we can take the things that give us a sense of self and fulfillment, and also do them in a positive way, and to use subject matter in a positive way. And I love it. I love that. Art is the best way. It really is. Music, writing, painting, whatever it is, pursue it and have fun. You want to eat? Go paint. There, that's good. That works too. It's sung by Oysterhead, and one of their songs has this almost mimetic chanting thing goes on. Keep on painting, keep on painting. It's about get over your anxieties and go paint. So look up the band Oysterhead. There's a fun, and they've only got a couple albums, so it's easy to do. And on that crazy rambling note, I'm going to sign off for today. Thank you everybody for coming and hanging out and spending some time together. It's been fun playing with these markers. They're very inexpensive ones. Craft. I don't know if that says Craft Low or Craftio or Craft. I don't know what the name of these are, but they're fun. I picked them up at a local dollar store, bargain store, and they've got 200 different colors in their range, and so that's super cool. So playing with markers, try that out. Give yourself a chance. Try to look for a little field or a little range of color, and get down with it. There's a real broad amount of values that they produce. This is just 2 packages of 8, and bingo, bango, bongo. So I'll get this page done for tomorrow. The suggestion was subtle and incremental deception. Tomorrow's the last day of Inktober. We're debating about what we're going to do if we want to do something fun for November. Miriam has some fun ideas about doing just graphite each day from November, and I think that's a fun one. I don't know if I want to do that one, but that sounds like a lot of fun. That's a good challenge too, and exploring secondary subject, I think, is a real benefit for people. Miriam has spent the month doing Paintober, where she's trying to emulate different styles of different painters over the years in ink. So that's a fun one. So sometimes subjectifying the prompt list that you have to do. Today I have to do a ink painting of a cake. Well, if you give yourself a second list of things that might be more personal to you, like an approach of painters, like Miriam said, or nostalgia for a 1960s comic that I grew up with. For me, because I don't really do superheroes, and I'm doing an Inktober each day of a superhero character, just to scratch an itch, So find something like that for yourself. Dee Dee has been doing trees and forest critters all month, so have fun. I'll be back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST. If you're on the Pacific Coast, that's 11. I think, Miriam, it's 10 at night. It's different times all around. I appreciate everybody tuning in from wherever you're tuning in. I know Tori checks in from Ireland, and Chris checks in from Mexico. And I appreciate it so much, everybody. And wherever you're joining in from, always feel free to take part. Always feel free to talk about whatever projects you're working on. Always feel free to suggest random ideas for me to do a page of. It's a lot of fun, and I enjoy spending this time. Okay. I will be back tomorrow, and I'll see you then. In the meantime, take care, everybody.